What's good, everybody? It's Cerebral4, and today I want to talk about luck-based cards, specifically trainer luck-based cards. Are they good for the game, and what do they actually provide for the game? So throughout the history of the TCG, luck has been a major factor. You know, there's always going to be luck in trading card games no matter what, but there's always some cards that actually bring luck more to the table. They add more luck to the game, and I'm just going to discuss how I feel about those cards. So the biggest culprits of luck are a lot of trainer cards that have always existed in some form or another. Trainer cards that have a coin flip effect and to work, and for that coin flip effect or multiple coin flip effects or what have you, they usually have as a reward, if you get lucky, a pretty strong effect, like Pokemon Catcher, Crushing Hammer, Pokeball, Life Herb. You know, these are cards that do things that normally you wouldn't see a card with no cost to do, like Life Herb heals 60 damage and removes a special condition if you get the heads. Now, a card that doesn't have that cost, that coin flip, like Potion, just heals 30. So that's basically the trade-off you get for relying on luck flipping the coin, is that you either get a great effect or you didn't get any effect, and you lose the card basically. You just went minus in a way. You didn't get an effect off. Now, there are some cards that like that are designed in a good way, that are good examples of luck-based cards, and the bad ones. For example, Pokeball is a good example of a luck-based card because you flip a coin, if you get heads, you can search basically any Pokemon. So it becomes like a costless Ultra Ball. You know, that's pretty good. You could say it's unfair, but there's already like always been a lot of different balls and methods that we can search for a specific type of Pokemon with no cost. There was Dive Ball, getting you water Pokemon. There's going to be Net Ball released when Lost Thunder comes out, that gets you grass Pokemon instantly. And there's been other cards like that get you specific Pokemon like the Team Magma Ball, Team Aqua Ball, Team Rocket Ball. Heavy Ball would get you a Pokemon with 3 retreat. We got the Nest Ball that basically can get you instantly a Pokemon on the bench, anything you want. There was Great Ball, there was even Level Ball, getting you 90 HP Pokemon. So even though these cards do have some sort of small limitations, they are essentially cards that basically let you get one Pokemon, one for one card exchange for free. You use the ball, you get that Pokemon, no cost. And you know, for decks that already were using specific Pokemon, that just adds to the benefit of them. They really don't care if you're using an all-water deck. Dive Ball might as well be a costless Ultra Ball in that deck. That's what I'm trying to say here. Pokeball is pretty fair because you might get the effect off, but it's a consistency effect. And consistency is good. You do want to have the game be more consistent. This way it means that less luck is involved and it promotes skill. You know, it's a more skillful, more fair game match. So, you know, if you use your Pokeball, you get heads, you get your pieces, you get your guys out, and you can activate your strategy. You know, that promotes consistency, promotes fair play, I suppose. That's how I look at it. And Life Herb, you know, even though that card can give you a strong healing effect, usually decks that rely around healing and these sort of strategies, they want really a reliable way to heal. They don't want to just risk healing or not healing, or heal a specific amount of damage. And a lot of times, you know, if you heal 60 and the special condition isn't always a factor anyway, it's not the greatest. This is why you don't see cards like Life Herb see play, and cards like Pokeball, even though it can have a strong consistency effect. It's just not worth risking it. There's more reliable ways. On the other hand, you look at cards like Pokemon Catcher and Crushing Hammer, you do see those cards see play from time to time. And it's no coincidence. It's because the effect that they're giving in exchange for maybe the off chance, the 50% chance you won't get any effect at all, is worth the risk. Crushing Hammer is basically based around Energy Removal 2, and Energy Removal 2 is basically based around the original Energy Removal. These were cards that were released in base set, and they were pretty powerful. Energy Removal, just instantly discard an energy card. Very, very strong effect. Which is why they thought, you know, okay, this is a very strong effect. Let's balance it out by making it a coin flip. However, when you do get the effect off, then it is essentially an energy removal. You got the broken effect off for free, and that's really busted. The reason that I say this is because a card like Crushing Hammer, just removing an opponent's energy. We only can attach one energy per turn, and that attachment can be pretty major. Of course, decks like Malamar and other decks that may be like Magnezone, they accelerate energy from the hand, even though they're not going to appreciate losing a free energy. It's not so much of a hindrance. Maybe you can come back from that, and it doesn't bother you that much, depending on the game state. So, those are exceptions. But for most decks, losing that attachment is pretty major. And it also already gives another disadvantage to Pokemon that really have it bad, that have always had it bad, and that have it bad even now. They have it bad already. Big Stage 2 Pokemon, and just basically any Pokemon that needs a lot of energy to work. So Pokemon, let's say like Torterra, a Stage 2 Pokemon from Ultra Prism. A Pokemon like this would have it fucking bad already to set up when you have attackers that can do good damage really quickly with 1 and 2 energy. Zoroark GX, Buzzwole, you look at Garbodor, all these Pokemon. By the time that Pokemon sets up, if it's not using any energy acceleration tricks, it's going to take a long time to set up. And when you have things like Crush and Hammer too, giving it even more trouble, it basically makes those cards pretty much unplayable. They're definitely seriously unplayable. They need a lot of support to work, as opposed to Pokemon like Zoroark GX and Buzzwole. Zoroark GX having a consistency ability, having a good attack, is 2 good attacks actually. And I know all cards aren't created equal, but normally we want the game to have at least some sort of balance. So then you look at another card like Pokemon Catcher. That card as well, you get the heads, you can instantly pull a Pokemon. A very, very powerful ability that is basically usually a deciding factor to win you the game. A card like that wins games, seals games, drastically changes the game state. It is powerful effects, which is why you see some people risk it and run them in specific decks where they think, okay, it's worth it to run, a bunch of Pokemon catchers. I'm going with speed. I'm going for the disruption, or cards like Energy, Crush and Hammer. That were used in Seismitoad, used in decks like Trevenant, already very annoying, and other decks. You could say the argument is, well, Saberwolf, that's where the coin flip comes in. If you get tails, you basically win minus. You didn't get the effect off, and that's what balances the card out. And in a different metagame, I would say, yeah, that's right. If you look at those kinds of cards, they were around in the 3rd generation as well. At least, yeah, both of them. There was Pokemon Reversal and Energy Removal too. And they did see play, but maybe they weren't so big as how they were in other formats. And the reason was, well, we did have our draw Pokemon and ways to draw a lot of cards, but the game was different. And what I mean with that is, right now, even though you can't get the minus, when we have supporters like Lily, before we even have Sycamore, cards like Cynthia, cards that basically let you draw a lot of cards, the way the game is designed is that, okay, even if you get the minus, that just basically builds off your supporter to basically get that one extra card, free card anyway. So it's like you lost nothing. That's how the Pokemon TCG is. It's kind of different than other TCGs. Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though it does have some luck cards, and we never had, well, we did have, but they got banned, cards that let you draw so many cards for free, so easily, so that basically even though you may win a minus, it doesn't matter that much, you recover it anyway. So even if you use, let's say, you've got a couple of crushing hammers in your hand, you use, let's say, a couple of them, maybe you got one heads off, maybe you got tails on the other one, or maybe you got both tails. It builds up your lily. You're going to draw more cards. If you use something like Cynthia, it means that you're thinning your deck, you're drawing more cards. So it's not necessarily like you lost a resource completely, if that makes sense. And just to give you guys an example of how broken these cards are, I normally never use these cards because, of course, of luck. I don't like to rely on luck. And it's just, I favor like consistency or power, certain things. But in a deck like my Lycanroc GX, that deck is built for speed and disruption. So I did trade off consistency cards for a full line of crushing hammers, an enhance hammer, and one enhance hammer. And there was a game, you guys may have seen it, that I used 2 crushing hammers in one turn and got 2 heads on a Gardevoir GX, and I actually like felt bad for the dude because it's such a major advantage, such a major effect to get off. Opponent losing 2 cards, 2 energy cards, 2 attachments, just for 2 item cards basically. You know, it's pretty, of course, it relies on luck, but when you do get it off, it's pretty busted. It's like one of these cards that basically get banned because they're too good. It's like that sort of effect. That's what hacks is about, luck is about, and it promotes basically luck-based wins and not skillful play. That's how I feel like it. A card like Enhance Hammer, people hate that card as well, but that card is more fair because it instantly discards the special energy, but it only targets the special energy. So you know that, okay, if Enhance Hammer is around, I can either risk it, not run special energies, not run many special energies, or build my deck with no special energies, so can make Enhance Hammer dead. And this way, even if you do have the Enhanced Hammer, if your opponent doesn't have, let's say, a special energy and you gotta make plays, maybe you gotta discard the card with Ultra Ball, or it's stuck in your hand, or maybe they do run special energies, but because they don't run that many, maybe they haven't seen them yet, they don't have one down yet, or they have one, but they're not playing yet, they're playing the basic energies first. It becomes a more fair card than Enhanced Hammer because you can't play it instantly. Crushing Hammer, as long as they have energy, you just throw that card away. If it works, great. If it didn't, okay, you went minus, but it's not even so bad. That's what I feel like the comparison comes in and the differences are. Now, Pokemon cards that have luck-based, attacks, and maybe they can do a lot of damage if you flip heads and those sorts of interactions. Those are a much different animal. Those, no matter what you do, they won't be consistent always. And even if you use cards like Victini, relying on them, you have to put in work for those anyway. Attach energies. So I feel like it's much fairer. But cards like Crushing Hammer, Pokemon Catcher, it's just they just give you a broken effect if you get it off really easily. We can get into arguments about roller skates where, if you get heads, you get a +3, but that's consistency, or +2, I guess. You draw 2 cards because the one is for the roller skates. But we can have discussions about that, but I give you guys the Pokemon example that I think it's a fair card. These sorts of cards, they're good as supporter cards, like Lysander, for example, Guzma, that gives you that effect off in the form of a supporter. That's basically the ultimate trade-off for fairness. You still have that effect, but at least you have to spend your supporter for the turn. Of course, decks that use ability draw, that played, let's say, a bunch of Shamans and got their setup that way, then they can basically use cards like Lysander for free, but it really is fair. And I really can't think of many things that these cards provide. I guess they do provide a little bit of variety. That these cards exist. But if I had to say something, what they do actually provide, cards like Crushing Hammer, perhaps Pokemon Catcher, Crushing Hammer especially, is that they provide a way for inexperienced players or players that are actually losing the game, maybe to come back just with luck. So let's say you're doing everything right, your opponent uses Crushing Hammer, they get a bunch of heads, then maybe you need more energies to work, you have to slowly build them up. That sort of thing. It just does what they do. It's just they bring luck to the game, give you a broken effect off. So, it's just cards that exist for that, to add more luck to the game, to give a broken effect off, not consistently with luck. That's it. And that's the only thing I can think of that they can provide. I know, of course, that skilled players also use these cards. I remember Jason Kaczynski, he ran cards like this in his Seismitoad EX deck, and it makes sense to run cards like that, of course. They're good, and that's why people run them when you get the effect off. And even when you don't get the effect off, depending on how you build your deck, you can recover the minus. It's like it never happened. So that's why you see people run them. That's why they're good. And you see cards like Crushing Hammer being run sometimes, and you don't see cards like Pokeball being run. Almost never. Because a card like that, it's not worth risking minusing for consistency because there are more reliable ways. But an effect like Crushing Hammer, it's not easy to get such a strong effect for free like that on an item card. Which is why people, like Puka expressed how much they hate these cards, and I hate them, and many people hate them. They're just not good, especially when your opponent gets really lucky. It's really bad. The Pokemon Company keeps re-releasing them. They keep reprinting them. I guess they think that they're good, they're healthy for the game, and that they bring something to the table. I wish they didn't, honestly. Enhance Hammer, I'm perfectly fine. Of course, if they want to remove that card for a while, then that's fine too. Experiencing formats where we lose certain cards and the game state changes drastically. But Crush and Hammer, even Pokemon Catcher, these sorts of cards, I just never really liked them, and I never will, even when I use them. Unfair cards that promote luck, even more so than it already is in the game. So that's the gist of what I had to say. I think I have more things to say about this topic. I could talk for hours, but I think we should wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like. I hope you guys share this with your friends, social media and stuff. Get this out there for other pokemon TCG fans to see. Tell me guys what you think in the comments. We can start some discussions maybe. Saber 94. See you guys next time. What's up?